Hey everyone, and thank you for joining me here for another podcast episode. Today, I want to take a little bit of time for reflection. You might know that at the moment, if you are listening to this podcast episode at the time that it's released, end of September 2024, we are in the middle of running our virtual summit 2024 called Through a Trauma-Informed Lens, Become an Empowered Changemaker. And it's really amazing to be holding this virtual summit and collaborating with other practitioners and hosting it together. And also bringing together a group of speakers and practitioners who are really walking their talk. It's absolutely amazing. And I had so much fun having the interviews and watching the interviews done by my co-hosts, Sophie and Fabi. And what I'm really experiencing right now this week, as we are holding the space in our pop-up Facebook group, and as we are releasing those interviews and kind of doing Facebook Lives and reflections on our interviews and the process, I'm really filled with a lot of gratitude and a lot of appreciation for being able to be doing this kind of work and connect with other practitioners who are walking their talk and really be able to do the work that I absolutely love, that comes from my soul's calling, from that is aligned with my values, that is really allowing me time and space and opportunity to just connect with others in this way. And so September is a very special time for me. I've always loved September. I don't know about you, but I am an autumn baby through and through. I love this time of the year when the summer is finishing and I have to put long sleeve tops and my boots and my leather jacket and yeah, dress differently when I'm not feeling overheated like I do during the summer. And the sense of newness and new start, buying a new notepads and a diary. I just ordered my new calendar for the next 18 months. And this sense of new beginning that for me, autumn always represents. And this year is no different. And also, I'm really aware of how, because of that energy of new starts in September, that I've always experienced that. And I guess that's related to, going to school and the new opportunities, new beginnings that it brings with it. And I love studying. I love work, learning. So this is the time to kind of commit to new things. I'm also aware that September is the kind of transition time for me. My birthday is on the 5th of October, so we're coming to that very quickly. And last year, I turned 50, so I will be celebrating my 51st birthday. And, I often make different shifts and make different decisions around this time. I mean, it's not unique from the rest of the year because I do it on a quarterly basis. It's within one of the programs that I run called the Embodied Business Mandala Mastermind Mentorship and Mastermind Circle for Female Practitioners, which is a one-year program. We do our quarterly planning retreats. And we just had one on the 17th of September within that container. And so I do it for myself as well. Quarterly, I sit down. I created a workbook called Quarterly Seasonal Planning Retreat workbook that we use in our sessions at the Embodied Business Mandala. but I use it for myself. It's not like I create it for others, for the practitioners that I work with, and I'm not using it myself. This is the process that I've been doing for many years now. So on a quarterly basis, I come and I review, what worked in the last quarter and maybe last year, because each season is different, and what hasn't worked, what do I need to change, what do I need to embrace, what do I need to let go of, all of those things that really are so important uh, in order for me to move forward. And so that's one of the things, and I'm aware that within my business, I am very much aligned with seasons. Like, I know that autumn and winter are very busy. Spring is quite busy as well. And I know that summer is a little bit lighter for me. As I said, like, I can struggle with summer, hot days and hot nights. And so, I plan my work differently. But I'm also aware of, apart from like the new beginnings and my birthday, of other kind of things that I am celebrating this month, which is, um, you know, hosting a summit. I hosted a summit, the first summit a couple of years ago in 2022. I did it very differently then to how I'm doing it now. This time, this year, I am also co-hosting it with two other practitioners, with Fabi and Sophie, which is absolutely amazing. And, I am seeing how differently I've approached the whole project, how differently I structured it, or we structured it, how differently I organized my schedule, my time, and how differently I showed up to having conversations with other practitioners. And that's been really amazing to actually see those changes of how much has changed for me in the last 2 years, but also how much has changed for other practitioners. So some of the practitioners in this summit were also part of the summit my virtual summit in 2022. And really seeing how their work has developed, how much all of us are much more grounded and steady and embodied within our respective work. And so, and how much our understanding, how our methodologies, how our language has changed, and the depth of conversation, that comes through lived experience. Obviously, not just the last couple of years, but really lived experience, and working more and more into that embodied wisdom, and showing up in the wholeness of ourselves. So for me, noticing what has changed and what really helped me to make those changes and, create the big training, my 160-hour trauma-informed somatic teacher and coach for women training certification was created about 2 years ago. I started working on it about 2 years ago. And that grew out of all the work that I've done with the 80-hour trauma-informed yoga and embodied resilience teacher training. I wanted something bigger. I wanted to bring all the different strands of everything that I learned over the last almost 30 years. All the trainings that I've done, all the personal process and experience and lived experience. I wanted to create more and work in a much more holistic way, not using just yoga and yoga methodology and understanding and tradition, but really bring the wholeness of my experience. And one of the things that I know that really helped me was really stepping up in a sense of within my personal growth in a slightly different way. And, one of the decisions that I made a long time ago was that when I was, if I reach the age of 50, I will definitely not be drinking alcohol. That was something, I used to drink quite a bit, a lot rather, in my 20s when I was living on my own. I moved to London when I was 18, from Poland. There was no adults around me. I was around other young people from all over UK and the world. And there was a lot of partying. There was a lot of kind of going out, clubbing. That was the time where the clubs were really, really going. And, I was living in central London. There was a lot that was happening. And then throughout my life, I was very aware that alcohol played a big part in me being able to cope with stress and the challenges of life, working in social care for many, many years. And over the years, I reduced that as alcohol consumption significantly. But I was aware that I was still using alcohol on Friday evenings or Saturday evenings to kind of shut down my mind. And part of the problem was obviously overworking. And I have got tendency, if I don't watch it, to overwork, real workaholic kind of approach, and being quite driven in this way of feeling that everything is down to me and I have got to do it because nobody else will do it. And that comes from working, living on my own in a different country, and also working in social care and, managing teams, working with child protection, with very long hours, with a lot of responsibility. And I think that's kind of learned behavior within me, as well as obviously my parents taking it from home, my parents working really extremely hard, and having their own businesses as well. So there was a lot of conditioning, and unpicking all of this was a very interesting and very healing journey. I mean, I've done a lot of therapy over the years. I've trained in a lot of therapeutic approaches and therapy, and I embraced it fully myself: the personal development, coaching, therapy, yoga, mindfulness. There's a lot of training that I've done over the last 30 years. And if you are like me, you know that it's wonderful to learn. I absolutely love it. And, sometimes it can become a little bit of an obsession of needing to learn. And so I've been noticing how that decision that I made 2 years ago, so before I turned 49, my 49th birthday, I didn't have any alcohol, which was really lovely. Those last 2 years of really working with my somatic experience in a different way, unpicking those things, not having alcohol, and being, finding other ways of managing stress and ending overworking and embracing rest, and really living my life in a different way, allowing myself to really pay attention and be much kinder to myself, and structure my business growth and my business schedule and how I work in a different way has been really transformational, and it's been absolutely amazing. And creating the 160-hour coaching training's been absolutely amazing as well, to be able to hold space for other women in this way, to see the transformation, to see the relief, to see the insights that these women are experiencing is absolutely amazing. And, time passes so quickly. And, on the 4th of October, we are starting our cohort number 4. And as I am holding space for women in those trainings, I am noticing how differently it lands for me, how differently I connect, and how my responses are very, very different. And one of the things that I always been very, very clear about is this trusting of my own inner knowing and my intuition and following my soul's calling. But that doesn't mean that I always knew how to do it. Often I would be confused, I would be overwhelmed. I know anxiety very, very, very well. It's always been with me throughout my life. But these days, because of this work, I am able to slow down, and my pace is much slower than it was, let's say, 5 years ago, even 2 years ago. And it allowed me to create this different understanding and, the framework for the coaching model that I call the Soma Psyche Soul coaching model. And if you are interested in this, you can find another podcast episode talking about this. And really embracing this calling and craving and desire to grow at a pace that is a bit slower, much more rooted, much more embodied from my values and from my strengths, and build the team around me with other female practitioners who are doing the same in their own way and asking for support and having support. And that is one of the most beautiful things for me, to be surrounded by other women who I trust, who share similar values, who are growing their own businesses, and who I can ask for support and lean into for support. And feeling much more rooted within this understanding of being a woman within today's society, and with the generation, and really appreciating the generations of women that came before me. My mom, my grandmothers, their mothers, the mothers before them, with all the richness of experience and wisdom that comes with it, within that. I feel that, looking at it from and exploring it through holding space for other women through my coaching training certification has enabled me to really go so much deeper into this work. I've done a lot of this kind of work before. I held, women's circles for many years in my yoga and wellness studio and online. I've worked with women and men. I've been mentoring other practitioners for over 20 years now. But there is something so profoundly healing of really honoring who I am as a woman within today's society, with all the things, all the challenges and difficulties that come with it, with all the richness of experience, with all the potential and expansion that comes with it. And so, celebrating this month and this quarter, the growth of the institute, the Golden Mandala Yoga Soma Institute, and the training certification, the coaching training certification, and bringing mentors who are graduates from the training, who have been through the training themselves, to support women as they're coming through the training. And really embracing all of it. Another thing that I am really happy about is, I'm co-hosting the first in-person retreat, 4-day in-person retreat for female practitioners at the end of November. And I am co-hosting it with my friend and colleague, Isabel Griffiths. And, I really felt the longing for it, but it didn't feel like the right thing. I couldn't hold it. I didn't have capacity within my being and within my schedule to actually hold it since before the pandemic. And now the flavor and the richness of it is different. It's much more rooted into the feminine embodiment and empowerment, and coming from very much somatic and trauma informed approaches, and really supporting other female practitioners. And it feels so amazing, so amazing to be able to do that. And so there's so much happening. And I think it's so important for us to take those times to really pause, especially at the turning of the seasons, at the times that are really important to us. Like for me, this is like September and beginning of October. As we are, coming to the end of 2024, as we are going into the 2025, and to really not just plan for the future, what we want to do, but take some time and celebrate everything that we've achieved, everything that we worked on, everything that we've been through. The beautiful things, the challenging things, and there have been lots of challenging things for me as well. In February, I had an operation, I had blood transfusion, emergency blood transfusion, in a very critical state. So there are things, that are always happening within our lives, but we cannot just focus on moving forward. We need to pause and celebrate, and really celebrate everything that we've been through. So if you haven't joined us for the summit, come and join us. You can still join this week and next week. It will be available after the 6th of October as a paid offering. So you will be able to access it at any time as a paid offering later. But whatever you do, come and connect with me, reach out, and take some time to celebrate. It will fill your heart with gratitude, with appreciation, and it will show you how magnificent life is, how rich in experience, and how we can grow in a way that is right for us. So take it for now, and I wish you all the best.